Hello and welcome to Last Time Studios. Today we're diving deep into the complexities of the investigation surrounding the tangled web of violence, confusion and oversight, exploring the haunting legacy of the phone book killer. Please like and subscribe. Lieutenant Traxler has passed reports showing the killings of two Sarah Connors. The realization hits hard after a few moments. A one-day pattern killer. I hate press cases, especially the weird ones. Well, this one can't get any weirder, Detective Volkovich. Welcome to the investigation of the phone book killer and beyond. As the detectives struggle to reach the potential third victim, a public statement is released. This prompts Sarah to contact Lieutenant Traxler, who gives her logical instructions to stay visible, don't go outside or even to the restroom, thinking it would keep her safe as aware someone is following her. After the events in Tech Noir and the chase through the streets, the detectives now have Sarah in their protection while Carl is in custody. The detectives are left baffled by Carl's wild claims of a future war and a cyborg assassin, believing him to be delusional. Lieutenant Traxler and Detective Volkovich need to make sense of Carl's story. To that end, Dr. Sobman, a criminal psychologist, is brought in to evaluate Carl's mental state. The police suspect Carl may be suffering from severe paranoia or psychosis, prompting Sobman to assess whether his claims are a part of a brief psychotic disorder or he's completely insane. The diagnosis could be a chronic disruption to his mental health, such as schizophrenia or bipolar disorder. Carl lays out his story in detail to Sobman, blaming the murders on a cyborg killer from the future. Dr. Sobman stress tests this paranoid delusion, probing with more questions, and finds that Carl needs no evidence to back up his claims. The delusion isn't just intricate, it's brilliant. Sobman's diagnosis? Technically, he's a loon. Matt and Ginger's murders have already been shared with Sarah, but amidst the chaos, the full extent of the phone book killer spree hasn't been revealed. Two punk kids, a gun shop owner, all of it still waiting to be confirmed as linked. The press hasn't even caught up yet, focused on the phone book killings. Lieutenant Traxler is at a loss, but captivated by the story. A cyborg killer from the future? Completely off the rails. But why is Carl involved? Lieutenant Traxler thinks to himself, trying to make it make logical sense. So even with this delusion, has Carl been reading the news of the phone book killings and taking it upon himself to protect Sarah, as he knows she's next in the phone book? Somehow one step ahead of the police, one step ahead of the phone book killer himself. And now he finds himself here, talking his gibberish. Traxler doesn't say it out loud, but he imagines Carl sitting in his basement, newspaper clippings scattered in a logical but untidy manner on a pinboard, strings strewn across so many dots it's almost innumerable. Something that would only make sense to somebody who's out of the mind. Traxler, grasping for logic, as he knows the phone book killer was shot multiple times, explains to Sarah that the phone book killer must have worn body armor to survive the gunshots. Volkovich adds that he could have been on PCP to punch through the windshield. Traxler takes Carl's warning seriously that the phone book killer will wait for Sarah and pull her heart out. Traxler, believing Sarah is safe within the walls of the police station, this guy can't touch her now. But that night the phone book killer assaults the station. 16 officers are slaughtered, officers with families. Lieutenant Traxler in his final moments only then realizing the truth. In his last few breaths he's able to acknowledge Carl, passing his revolver and reconfirming his mission. He must protect Sarah. The California State Police launched the largest manhunt in history, bringing in 5 Southern County departments. Where is the phone book killer now? Now, not just a phone book killer, but a cop killer. The next time the police catch up with Sarah is in a Cyberdyne building. She's badly injured and Carl is deceased. The prime suspect? Nowhere to be found. The area is a lockdown crime scene. However, not as secure as the police believe, as Cyberdyne has been able to acquire a microprocessor and mechanical arm. By the following day, the suits of Cyberdyne realize their find, and their dirty cops in the force. With a nominal sum, evidence that might have supported Carl's story is compartmentalized, locked away by Cyberdyne. Cyberdyne stretches its influence, casting a long shadow, shielding the truth from law enforcement and the public. Cyberdyne stands to gain what almost seems like unlimited source of income from the new technology that's been recovered from the altercation. So it's in their best interest to be fully aware of the entirety of the situation and all the participants. And knowing this, they make all efforts to suppress evidence using a variety of legal tactics. including filing a subpoena to prevent the release of sensitive information and conducting an internal investigation that effectively blocks outside inquiries. They could easily spin their story, creating narratives that steer focus away from incriminating evidence, ensuring that the true extent of their involvement never sees the light of day. Meanwhile, the phone book killer's actions are eclipsed by the murders of those 16 officers. As years go by with cutbacks and interagency miscommunication, the focus shifts on solving officers' murders. The victims of the original spree fade into distant memory, justice for them a distant echo. Like most police departments, Dr. Sobman is under the assumption that Carl was killed protecting Sarah, and Sarah herself ends up with the same paranoid delusion Carl suffered from. But the prime suspect is still at large. By the early 90s, the case of the phone book killer is closed pending further evidence. Then in 1994, the phone book killer resurfaces, this time spotted at a mall in Reseda. With another string of murders, including John's foster parents, the police know Sarah has knowledge of this man. Detective Mossberg and Weatherby interview Sarah, trying to gain any potential clue to assist them in their inquiries. A forceful reminder of the 16 officers murdered. However, no mention is made of the original case, which Sarah survived from the 1984 phone book killer. Like an unwanted card, it's shuffled to the back of the deck. But even within earshot of this conversation, Dr. Sobman remains unmoved, woefully blind to Carr's warning that Skynet seeks to erase the Connors. Soberman, now a distinguished professional, has built his career on diagnosing this delusion. He dismisses Sarah as far too gone. Too much time has passed for her to be any help now. Yet the saga is stranger than fiction, and Sarah is broken out of the hospital by none other than the phone book killer himself. A twist not predicted by anyone. Sobman's key witness statement is a mess, ramblings about a man walking through bars, gunshots with no effect, and this man with metallic arms opening an elevator door. Evidence at the scene backs up some of the claims, the elevator looking like it's been turned into Swiss cheese. The tables have turned. Sobman is now the one struggling to explain the unexplainable. It's a baffling situation for the detectives involved. After the explosion at Cyberdyne, Sarah and John slip away into the night. The police pick up the shattered remains of the unsolved case. The phone book kill investigation is once again handed off to a different department, lost in the endless shuffle of bureaucracy, hindered by a corporation hiding the truth.